Hello, my name is Kate Chaz, and welcome. My camera's all off because I was griping at Danger whenever I did the reaction. And welcome to the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm going to do a small little, I don't know what I want to call this, in-depth thing, but I'm going to look through it another time and just kind of see what I notice. Because I watched it twice, technically 4 times. My dad and I watched it twice. And there's a lot to uncover in this whole bit of all. That's loud.
The world's ending.
Like, this right here is kind of following the suit of, I think it was the first ever Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer. Of, like, I'm going to take a guess here. I'm going to throw a shot in the dark. I think timeline's going to be messed up. I could be wrong on this. But at the end, at the first Rebirth trailer, we saw a scene of Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, and Red getting picked up in gurneys and flown off, presumably dead. And that's kind of what all this right here is looking like, is this is all that. And so and so we see Zack here. We see Elmira in the back. Hi, Elmira. So I'm betting if that's the case, timelines are completely messed up. I'm not entirely sure because we have the timeline aspect of Final Fantasy VII Remake with the whispers and all that kind of messing with things because things are supposed to happen and they aren't supposed to happen. But then we also have this right here, the secondary timeline. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work with stuff. So all this right here is going to be a full-on guess for some of these things. Just I'm going to be doing nitpicking, small little noticing here and there. But I'm betting that this right here is going to be happening at least as reactors are blowing and, you know, everybody's dying. So we can kind of see Zack's point of view if that's the way they're going to do this. Because obviously, this is whenever Zack makes it back to Midgar. I don't think they should have shown this. Honestly, I don't. I myself am not... Let me move this really quick. I'm not a big fan of them... kind of how they've done with Zack in this and Reunion. Just because Zack was an inconsequential part of the story in the original. Like, he, at least in the opening part, like, you weren't supposed to know till way, way later that Zack was even a possibility. So I'm not a fan of them bringing him in and presumably making him a slightly bigger focus in Rebirth. I don't even like the idea that they made... I like how Zack died. His death, though sad, is one of my favorites in gaming history. His whole just, you know, I'll edit it in after this. This will be my video for Friday. And I'll see all you guys back on Monday, probably with... Or Sunday, because I'll do Subnautica. I don't know. I'll do something. My cat's doing something. But, yeah, I'm not a big fan of how they did it. Zack should not be alive. I love Zack. He's one of my top 10 favorite Final Fantasy VII characters. But I don't think he should be alive unless... I can't even think of a way they're going to do it unless they like merge timelines to make true peace. And if that's the case, I'm going to put a small spoiler warning here if you've never played the original 7, even though I feel like at this point, even if you haven't played 7, Danger hasn't even played 7 and he knows this, but Aerith dies. So unless they're going to do something like this where they're going to have another alternate reality where nobody dies, which Aerith died in this one, presumably, and not sure, unless they do something like that... then it's going to be really weird as to why Zack himself is even being shown in this. So let's continue going.
That's what everyone's saying.
Anyway, we do know he is back in the Sector 6 slums. That was Elmira right there. He probably got cleaned up at Elmira's. He's probably going to go find Aerith, maybe? Because everything right now looks less color, more dilapidated.
The sky, I don't like it.
Then you have Junon. Junon looks great. I like to look at the clouds. The clouds look great. I love Junon. I like the whole thing of Junon right here. The issue with this is, my dad and I pointed out, is Junon, what's about to happen does not happen till way later in the game. I'm also going to be trying to throw a theory out there on where this game actually ends. So more spoilers for Final Fantasy VII are going to be pointed out to this entire thing. It's really like a spoiler-full, in-depth thing of Rebirth here. But... the fact of this here, yes, it's cool. I'm like, he was one suggesting this. I'm not sure for how they're going to go about this because original 7, Junon cannon was fired twice. Once from Junon, once in Midgard at the end of disc, like near the end of disc 2, with a diamond weapon. But I'm kind of wondering that, like, Junons may have a smaller place in all this. I know we're going to see a boat, because in the last trailer, we saw all of them on a boat fighting against one of the Genova pieces. Because you go onto a boat, remember, spoilers, everybody, spoilers. But you go onto a boat, sail into the other continent, and you fight a piece of Genova, because Sephiroth, he appears on it. Right now, I'm just betting. I said this here because he's the one pointing this out. Is he shouldn't be firing it because there's no weapon in play. We're going to talk more about the weapons in a little bit. That's out. That's definitely a Sapphire weapon. But I'm betting this whole thing right here is just like an inaugural thing. Like, he's president now. Fire the cannons. I'm not going to say much on this.
To the new world order.
Yeah. Like, I'm looking at all this here. His theory was, my dad's theory, he's a big Final Fantasy VII player, too. Maybe I'll get him on Games of Gamers. We can just talk Final Fantasy VII. That was the plan when we did the Mass Effect one. But all this here is just this is too fancy, because later on in the game, you have a moment like this where they fire the cannon at one of the weapons. And for those who don't know the weapons, and you are watching this one, thank you. 2, the weapons are essentially like the Godzilla, the protectors of the planet. They're big enemies that we're going to hear about this that just kind of stop what's not supposed to be done. They're Godzilla, pretty much.
Fire!
That's cool. And this right here is going to be fun. He and I were talking about it. Look at all the different colors. You see all the different colored ones in there? You see pink, green, yellow. There's a mini game in the original where you not even a mini game, it leads up to a mini game, but you have to walk in line with these guys. Maybe a mini game, maybe you get a prize for it. I've never cared much because it doesn't matter how you do it. There's another mini game you're gonna do later on in the game where you have a gun and you have to like follow in uniform with the rest of them, and it's looking like we're gonna be going through that again, which will be fun. But also at the same time, I think Cloud is either gonna be in the lead of his own little group, like little squad, or like this is him falling behind, showing you can.
Just close.
And this here, where? I don't know where this is. I don't know where that is. My thought right there, my immediate thought here was the at the end of 7 and in the beginning of the 7 movie, you basically see a future thing of Red right here, running along with his 2 cubs, and you see a broken down, dilapidated Midgard that's completely ruined. That's what I'm getting from this. I'm not sure what this place is. The only other thought I have is it could be Corel Reactor, but this looks too lively for Corel. And this here, I'm doing a lot of talking to all this, but that's the whole point of this. All this is theoretical. I'm not entirely sure on this one. Thinking of it, it could. I'm betting that right there. Actually, now that I look at it, better look at it.
Listen.
This here I think is Junon, because Junon has an upper area, has a lower area, where in the original game you have to hop on a dolphin. You got to take on a boss we're going to see later in this trailer. But you have a dolphin that lets you jump up to the thing, and I'm thinking, just because my whole idea on that, if I could literally, is the water right here. Because we don't have a whole lot of places in the Final Fantasy VII world that has just access to water right within the town. We have like Costa del Sol, Lower Junon, and I really think, unless I'm forgetting places, maybe Wutai. Wutai does have that. But for the most part, there's not a whole lot of places that you actually look and there's water. So looking at Junon here, I'm kind of liking the build of Junon. It looks a whole lot more rugged, because you have Upper Junon, think of it like a Midgar. You have the upper area and the lower area. The lower area of Junon is essentially like the slums of Midgar. And I think they captured this really well, because it's not put together well, but they have houses like to live in. I like the world building of this.
Tell me you can't.
And Cosmo Canyon. Cosmo Canyon is going to be great. Let's turn off the subtitles for all this. So with Cosmo Canyon plays a big part in a lot of these. Oh, look at all that. Oh, look at that. You got quest markers. I'm assuming that's not save point. We got materia, item, probably a quest board. Ooh, side quest board. Okay, that'll be fun. But Cosmo Canyon plays a really big part in the first one, because you go there a couple times. You have one moment in the game where you go there for Red here, which I'm thinking this will probably be the first entrance of it, where you learn more about Red, because every character kind of has their own character arc. Not everybody, but most of them have their own character arcs. Then you go back way later with Bugenhagen, which was the old man we saw in the original trailer. and you do a whole lot up here. I'm wondering, because of how much they stretched out Midgar, because Midgar was 4 or 5 hours of the original game, that they could absolutely stretch this out. This game's going to be massive. It's 2 discs, 2 PS5 discs, for crying out loud. But there's a whole lot of stuff that, if they wanted to, they could absolutely stretch this out. They could make this solid 5 hours, 6 hours right here, because you can spend maybe an hour, hour and a half in Cosmo Canyon for the first time, going through his little side story beat and kind of learning more about everything. But then at the same time, there's a lot of game left. And there's one thing that I'll point out whenever we get to the end of this that I noticed on my third time watching. But there's a lot of game left. Like, Final Fantasy VII is a massive, massive, massive game. Like, realistically, it's a 40-hour game if you've never played it. 40 to 45 hours. I think I can beat like 35. 30 to 35. I know what I'm doing, though. If you've never played it, it's a long, massive game. That's not the point. But there's a lot of things that are going to have to either be sped up or completely drug out to the point that Part 3 is massive. Like Cosmo Canyon, let's say hour and a half. They could take Midgar, which is 4 hours, made it to 40 hours, turn this hour and a half and make it 13 hours. I don't expect them to, but they could. And if they do 13 hours per place, let's hope they don't. Let's say they do, that'll make this game like a 200-300 hour game just in this part, because we have Medeal, we have Nibelheim, we have Rocket Town, we have Calm. Calm itself is an hour in the original one, I think. It's like 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour of just backstory, which we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. So, like, some of these places are going to be massive, and I'm scared of how massive this game's actually gonna be just because of, Midgar. 4 hours, changed to 40. Then we're gonna be seeing more of this. Let's continue. So, Cosmo Canyon, I'm excited to see Cosmo Canyon, some of the things that go on there. Where is this? Why do I think that's Fort Condor? Where is this? I think this is a little new area.
Planet runs out of energy.
Same with this. It's showing some of the combat. I'm liking because right now it's showing. It's not showing like actual team stuff. It's just showing the combat of the characters working with each other. Or no, showing off new stuff of Tifa right there.
Planet runs out of energy.
This one here just had them fighting together.
It and everything on it.
And also, I noticed it. The game is going to reset stats. I figured it was going to, but I'm kind of upset. I honestly thought they were going to do like some stupid, like you get to level 100 in this one, you get to 150 in the next one, and you're sitting like 30,000 HP. But but it looks like they're literally just going to have us restart, which I'm kind of sad about. I spent so many hours in this game.
Dies.
We can.
And look here, we get to play as Red, and he has a vengeance mode. I don't know what his vengeance mode is. I'm assuming it'll be another attack mode like how Cloud has his. And that's kind of interesting. And also we get to see more gameplay from the other characters, which is fun. And here, okay, so I talked about the hour-long Nibelheim thing. That's this. We get to see more of all this. Like, this is an hour-long backstory that Cloud tells the crowd and Calm. Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, and Red tells them in Calm. So that right there, they're not going to make this an hour because it's this game moves at too fast a pace because the voice acting and stuff, you don't have to sit there and just tap a button. Automatically goes, it moves too fast a pace for an hour. So I expect this to be 2 or 3 hours, probably. I don't like the idea of it being a 2 or 3 hour chunk, but if they want, but at least with how they're following suit with the rest of Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm looking at Midgar. Everything I'm saying right now, Stretch, I'm basing on Final Fantasy Remake because it's so small, stretched into massive. So I'm just imagining for some of these places, this place will obviously be a few hours. I'm betting Calm will be a few hours watching this backstory, learning more about all this.
Human.
Okay.
And this here is fun.
Think you can find him?
It's Cait Sith. I mentioned in the actual video, Cait Sith was shown for maybe 3 or 4 seconds in the original remake of him just pounding on the ground, seeing all this. I'm going to spoil it. So actually, this is a big spoiler for the thing, so move ahead like 10 seconds. This is Reeve. He's one of the Turks. He's the leader of the Turks. And him being, I like how they're already introduced, like they're showing him, and those who know what's going to happen, because this here is skip ahead 5 seconds. This is a robot right here. Yeah, his eyes don't open. He's a robot. And I'm really excited to see how he's going to play into it. Because Kate Sith was big in the original one. He actually had a bigger role compared to other party members. Because he was there, then he wasn't, then he was. So now that we have this, he'll be much more in-depth. And with him being shown in the first game, he has a lot more into the shadows kind of thing than what we know. He knows a heck of a lot more than he did in the original one. I guarantee it. Just because he was shown in the first one. And that's a small little detail. But I'm excited and curious to see... All this I'm excited for. I'm going to quit saying excited. I'm curious to see how he's going to play into it because of how big of a role he actually had in the first disc of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, Sephiroth, you see.
And he got his Mog there. His mini Mog. I think that's what it is. What is this thing? What is this thing called? What does Kate Sith ride on? Yeah, it's a robotic Moogle. He rides a robotic Moogle that he brought to life. Frankenstein. So this right here. I watched this. Seeing his combat. Let's actually go back a little bit. See if I...
You see.
He has the kitty wallop. Okay. Oh, look at that. I paused that just right. So he has the ability to swap between Kate Sith
So you heeded the...
and this Kate Sith between battle. This is robotic Moogle. This thing's absolutely terrifying in this new stuff. So that's interesting right there that he can actually swap between. I'm wondering if that's going to be a time thing or if it's one or the other. I'm betting it won't be. It'll be like the Punisher mode versus normal mode. Is just another battle mode. Probably slows down, does more damage. I love the Kate Sith stuff in the original.
Called you, did you?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, got his combat. You got the buggy. Oh, the buggy driving around. This takes us to Nibelheim.
As you can see.
And the chocobos. I don't know where this is. This is new stuff right over here. I'm not entirely sure. That may not be. My thought is that might be Wu-Tai, but I don't think that's Wu-Tai. You got the chocobos. I don't know how I feel about them bringing the chocobos back. And you got the green one. So you got black chocobo. You got 4 colorations of chocobos. 5. You got yellow chocobo. They run. Green chocobo, they can climb up mountains. Blue chocobo, they can walk in shallow water. Black chocobo can do everything the green and the blue chocobo, which is climb mountains, shallow water. And then if you go through all the time and tribulation, you can get yourself a gold chocobo, which can traverse pretty much anything. And the fact we have the coloration either means chocobo breeding's back, or if they follow like how Sam was in the first one, you can rent chocobos. But I bet, because considering what we're about to see,
Get together.
is that there's going to be more chocobo breeding, which, yay, I hated the chocobo breeding. And we got Junon. I'm assuming this is Junon. This is Costa del Sol. This is too cheery. That right there is Costa del Sol is my guess. Because Costa del Sol is pretty much like the Hawaii of Final Fantasy VII. Everybody goes there to relax, take vacation. The Turks go there. If you want to go watch my Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it ain't Rebirth yet. But if you want to go watch Final Fantasy VII Reunion, which is a prequel to all of this, you see Zack goes there and just goes on vacation. This is pretty much his beachside attraction.
Get together.
I like and I'm fond of the. Can we get rid of this, please? And I'm fond of the little segue thing here. There's gonna be some stupid. Achievement trophy for getting like probably 10,000 on there.
They're our best chance of finding Sephiroth.
And then you have these guys, the Black Cloaks. The Black Cloaks are more. I'm still going more spoiler stuff. But these guys are pretty much the failed vessels of Sephiroth. Oh, spoilers. All these guys were put into this thing to kind of be the next being for Sephiroth. Like they want more or less cell harvesting. And these were all the ones that failed. That's why they want reunion. They want to go back to their correct thing because...
Yeah, I ask because I suspect there's soldiers suffering from cellular degradation.
Cellular degradation. That's a big word right there in case you don't know what degradation means. Put degradation on the screen now. Thank you. But anyhow, so they're basically, their bodies are breaking down on it, and they want the reunion with Sephiroth to kind of make themselves complete again. Be whole yet again. Because they were given incomplete, I believe it's Genesis G cells. It's either G cells or S cells. I'm thinking a lot because it's a lot of stuff. 7's a big, massive thing. I think it's because Genova cells are for Sephiroth, and then we have the other cells, which are the Genesis cells and the Angeal cells, A cells and G cells, are in other people, which they want to combine with him. That's why they did all the experimentation to see if they could actually make it match.
Do not be deceived.
Then Cloud's still also crazy, dealing with Sephiroth at every moment's notice.
You know the truth. Trust in me.
And also, right here, I'm going to say this right now, I'm going to take a guess, because this here I'm thinking is Mideel. Mideel is a bit later. It's still Disc 1, the first time anyway. You go there twice the whole game, like story beat-wise. But Mideel is way later in the game. I'm not sure on where they're actually going to stop with this game. Because if this is Mideel, that's a long time. That's after Temple of the Ancients. I'm not entirely sure. Let's go back to this. At what percent? Like, can I get a percentage? Not Midgar. Okay, it is Disc 1, though. Yeah, it's pretty much Disc 1. It's got a lot to it. I'm not... I want to say this is after Temple of the Ancients whenever you visit Mideel. Like, it's way later. So they'll probably maybe 15 hours or so into the game. 15 to 20. And if we look at the fact of the first game, 4 out of 5 hours was just into 40 to 50 hours, this could be a long time. I bet they're going to cut out some of the things because, I'll point out in a bit, something we haven't seen yet in any of the trailers.
Do not be deceived. You know the truth. Trust in me.
I don't want to. And a Zolam. Midgard Zolam. I'm hoping they bring back, because in the first, because Final Fantasy VII, you had enemy skills. Enemy skills were ungodly broken. If you knew what to get, Zolam here, Zolam, whatever his name is, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Midgard Zolam. That's how I've always said it. And I think this is Zolam. I'm going to say this is. And be proven wrong when the game comes out. But the enemy skills are a very powerful thing. I want them to bring the enemy skills back and kind of have them just as broken, because he has one called Beta. Beta's cool. I hear Beta. It's just a universal I know Beta, and it's great. It's fun. Maybe I'll put a clip in of Beta. Enemy skills are a fun thing. I want them to bring enemy skills back because the original one only had maybe 4 or 5. It did not have a lot. And then the original, there's like maybe 30 or 40. There's an ungodly amount. I want them to make it a more open world because this game seems to be much more open world compared to the original one. Because that one, though open world, is linear. It's like Final Fantasy 13 levels of open world for like the most part until like the actual end of the game when you can go explore sector after sector after sector. And if they do that, I want them to have at least half of the enemy skills from the game. You got the Beta, you get Trine, you get Agualung. Phone, why? You get all those, then you get Matrimissile, all those fun things. I want them to see bring back into it. That'll be a fun thing. It's replayability, or playability, not even replayability. That's the wrong word. My buddy and I were arguing over playability versus replayability. But it's playability to go run through, collect all this stuff, achievement hunters. I'm going to try to do it. See you then. And this here is in the lower Junon area, like that first little spot, like right before big story beats that happen right after Midgar. Is you have Calm talking about the past. You go to a little Chocobo rancher's house. He's like, oh, you go through there. You gotta worry about the Zolam. And then you go to Lower Junon, this place. Lower Junon, I feel like at least is not going to be super strung out. Probably hour and a half, 2 hours probably. Just because in the first chunk, time you go there, I cannot think of really anything significant that happens except a little girl named Priscilla. You save her from this thing, the bottom swell, and then you jump on a dolphin up to the Upper Junon area and kind of continue on. And I will say, enemies look fantastic.
Come on.
And the team attacks. This right here is fun. I'm gonna have to pay attention to it because I thought I could be wrong. I may be wrong because I thought whenever I saw it, one of the later ones has these limit gauges full, and I noticed it afterwards. So I'm wondering what all these are because right now we got a Barrett and Yuffie, the two most like I never would have thought these two would ever do a team attack at all. I would have expected, but also I saw another trailer of it where you have Yuffie and Red. So I'm wondering, is there anybody can combo attack with anybody? What'll be the cause of this? I see a little symbol next to Yuffie that either has something to do with how she fights or the team attack. Let's see. That is cool though. Okay, no. So there is no thing. We also saw a team attack of her and Tifa. So basically anybody can team attack with anybody. And this one's kind of fun of him just popping him in his mouth. Turn into a freaking laser beam.
On me.
And this here. This is what I thought was the thing. So this is either not a combo, well it is a combo attack, but it's a story beat combo attack. And this is more right here is going to mean they're going to add a lot more to Nibelheim. Because in the Nibelheim backstory, you never deal with, what is this thing called? What is this thing called? What is this scorpion called? He gives you Trine. And Nibelheim. What is the name of this thing? It's Blue Scorpion. Not the Lost Number. Materia Keeper. Is the Materia Keeper? Let's see. Materia Keeper? Yep, this is the Materia Keeper. Okay. So they're stretching out this a lot here because whenever the main group gets to here, you deal with the Materia Keeper at the end of it if you get Vincent and all that stuff, leaving nothing here. So either there's going to be Nibelheim won't be in this one, or we're going to have to take on a new boss here, or reuse the boss, because you take this thing on way later. You don't even take it on with these two. And I do like how they have more of these two actually teaming up, because the original one, I'm doing a lot of originals, you have them in one fight. Sephiroth is so much stronger than Cloud is, kind of like right here. There's like, Cloud's like going to be level 5, he's level 50. They fight a ruby dragon, and Sephiroth just one-shots him pretty much. I like how they're going to be introducing more of this, showing more of this, because spoilers, more spoiler warnings right now. This is not Cloud, it is, but this is more supposed to show that Cloud and Zack were fighting, but this is also more of that what Cloud is telling us is not true. And I'm going to be playing through 7 here probably the next month or so, because watching all this, I'm going to want to play 7 again. Of course I am. So, yeah, none of this is actually true, I don't think, because we're going to look at Final Fantasy VII Reunion, the prequel, the Crisis Core Reunion, where you see that like none of this happens. You make it to Nibelheim, Sephiroth goes mad, and that's where his descent is. We see we have the fun of the city burning, stuff like that. So I like to put more emphasis on this. Hold on. Do they clash? They do! It's a small second right there. Right before they actually look at each other. That's cool. So either... I wonder what this is. I'm not going to sit here and theorize on this. This could be a whole lot of things right here. That Cloud and Sephiroth are actually fighting each other. It still looks good. I like the combo attacks. And then the frickin' summons. Good God, look at this. You got the materia thing. This means Chadley's probably going to appear again, because this is the datascape where you fought all the summons in the first one. Bahamut, Leviathan, Shiva, Ifrit. Oh, you didn't fight Ifrit in there. You grabbed Ifrit. Or the battle arena. Actually, either one. Either one's Chadley. So look at Alexander. Alexander's a cool one. And this. Yeah, this is Kujata. Kujata, well, let's pull up a picture of Kujata on the screen for those who may not actually know what Kujata is. Kujata is basically the, let's see, am I right? We don't have enough of a thing. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is Kujata. This is definitely Kujata. Let's bring this ugly thing on over here. Oh, we can't even see it. That's Materia Keeper. There we go. This here is Kujata, so we can kind of see the similarities. This is a massive, massive bowl that has power over all the elements. Like, his thing is, whenever he comes in, he does fire damage, ice damage, lightning damage, and earth damage. So I'm glad they're bringing in some of these like lesser known ones. I'm sure they're gonna bring in all of them, which will be like what all summons were there? Main one I'm wondering about will be Knights of the Round, because Knights of the Round is gonna be peak summon animation. Seeing Kujata though is fun. I like they're bringing in these. Look, he's just kind of throwing all the elements around. Yes, Alexander, you're very cool. Yeah, there's lightning, ice. Yeah, this is Kujata. It's fire. And Odin, my god. Odin. Odin is gonna, oh, look at that, lower HP. Yeah, we're gonna be dropped down. We're gonna be weak. I'm gonna make us start the game at level 1 again. But Odin itself, probably my favorite summon. I think it's a lot of people's favorite summons. Fun fact for Odin, Odin has 2 animations. He's one of the 2 summons in Final Fantasy VII that actually has 2 animations. And I wonder if they're going to actually animate the, because this here is Zantetsuken. Ain't no way it isn't. So he has another one called Gungir's Lance, or Gungir? Gungir? Gungnir? How do you pronounce this? Gungnir. It's Gungnir. I've always called it Gungnir. Gungnir. He has Gungnir's Lance. This doesn't sound right. I'm gonna say Gungnir's Lance. Gungir's Lance is another one that's just because Odin's a one-shot on most enemies. Usually against the boss, he doesn't. Then you have also Chocomog. We saw that in the first one becomes a Fat Chocobo. But now they actually made Fat Chocobo its own separate thing. So I wonder. And then you got Golden freaking Saucer. You can see a lot of... I'm trying to look at it all. Trying to look at all of it. Yes, 1080. I'm bougie. Let's look at all this stuff, because we got, for the original one, I'm not going to get to see all of it. So the original Final Fantasy VII, all this place was, this was just minigame haven. It had some story beats to it. Like, you look down here, you can kind of see some of the story beats to it, but we're not going to, it's Corel. I'm not going to talk much about it. But you have the battle arena, which will be fun, because you can get like Cloud's ultimate thing, his ultimate limit there, the Omni Slash that everybody should know if you know Cloud. Chocobo Square, I'm so not excited to race Chocobos again. And they're gonna make it. I mean, it was already, you had to do one forced race in the original.
Look!
And you got Yuffie in there. I'm glad that I know we had this in there, but I'm glad they're actually showing emphasis on other characters. Andrea's here. Why, Andrea? And him. God, what's his name? Who runs the battle arena? I cannot remember. What's his name? Battle Square. Who's... Is that Dio? I think this is Dio. Okay, this is Dio. Because Dio runs... He's like the head of... Dio looks freaking jacked. Chocobo racing. But look at this. This will be so fun. Looking at all this, I'm going to hate it. Because my immediate thought is this. I hated the Chocobo racing in the original. I didn't hate it. It just got monotonous very quick and tedious. But I'm thinking of the Rumble racing from Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Just because the laps and all this here. Oh, look. You got Vivi over there. And all the trees are freaking Chocobos. Then you got more of the stuff. You have more like mini games and all of this, which is really fun. And I think I saw like how they went with the original polygon figures of it, because this is just the upscale. This is what everybody was imagining with a Final Fantasy VII remake for a while. Was Dreams has a Final Fantasy VII remake where you look like this. It's this, except you move around like you do in remake. So I'm glad they're adding in new mini games. And this, I don't like these at all. Okay, this here is where a lot of my concern comes into it, because I made mention at the beginning of it, I'm not a fan of how they're doing this. At least from the get-go, we don't know enough about it for me to actually make a true opinion on it. I will say that right now. I don't know enough to say, yay, I like it, nay, I don't. But them kind of having Zach beat pertinent, even if, let's say, if it's an hour. Let's say it's just 1 hour of the game. As an opening of the game, you go through the tutorial theoretically as... Well, you don't even go through a tutorial. Unless they give you a tutorial fighting the infinite soldiers. Who knows? Probably not, because it's already kind of shown this. But having Zack, again, just be in this, talking to... What's her name? What is her name? I think it's like Kyrie. It's not Kyrie. Who? God, I need to remember some of these names. Not Yuffie. What is her name? Kyrie. That's her name, Kyrie. It didn't even show me on the thing. It's just Kyrie. It's like... Right, Kyrie? Kyrie. Not shoes! Yeah, Kyrie. Kyrie Kanan. So I'm not going to sit here and hate on it. I don't know how they're going to go with this. I just right now do not like how they're making Zack a big focal point of this whenever he's dead in the original. Like, he's dead in the mainline story of this. So either they're going to, like, merge timelines, which I don't think I'm going to like. If they try to do a merge timeline thing, I need to get this actually overall fixed so it fit. I don't know why my OBS is being wonky. But I don't know how I'm going to feel if they, like, try to alter the timeline. Dad and I talked about it as if they redo it, if they had made a separate game chunk of it where it is, 2 discs. Let's say second disc is just Zack stuff. Like disc 1 is, Cloud, then disc 2 is Zack, and they make it 2 separate games. Okay. But if they're trying to introduce him into the main line whenever he's dead, and I don't think I really care for that. Just because it's unimportant to the story. And if he gets added into it, it's gonna mess with a lot because of more spoilers. I've said this all the time. This whole thing is gonna be spoilers because I'm talking about everything I know up to the points that we know. Cloud's personality is based on Zack's personality. We don't see my mouse anymore, but Zack's personality is 100% Cloud's personality, like ex-soldier rogue kind of thing mixed with the Cloud stuff. That's why Cloud to the first game is constantly, ugh, my head, is anytime somebody asks him something, he's not recalling what he knows, he's recalling what Zack knows because, he kind of took on the personality of him. That's also why some things he couldn't answer. So I'm not going to say, I don't know.
Excuse me.
I won't hate on it until I know.
After my friend, just for a bit.
I still don't like his voice. I still hate this new voice they have for Zack. It's not... Wait, no, that was a different voice. Hold on.
Just for a bit.
No, it's not. That's the same one. I hate his voice actor. He doesn't sound like Zack. And him. Him, I don't know. The thought crossed my mind is we have a nice little lore of Final Fantasy VII all over the place. You have Crisis Core. You have Before Crisis. You have the movie. You have Dirge of Cerberus 7. I don't know, because I want to say Dirge of Cerberus and Advent Children had new characters introduced. They always do. And I'm wondering if he's one of them. Or because... I don't know. It looks like he has glasses. I don't know. He's going to be some time traveler. He's going to be from another thing watching and be like, "Bah, this is what's supposed to happen."
Two delirious
And here.
creatures, set only to appear when the planet is in grave danger.
I paused at the right time. I like that little chunk right there because we get to see the weapons. The weapons are some of the big, I guess, adversaries, and I want to say this is a sapphire weapon. Some of the big adversaries from the maybe it's not. I bet it is sapphire actually. Yeah, it's very aquatic based, and we see all the
Set only to appear when the planet is in
all the fishiness here. And this means right here, because this happens in like disc 2. I want to say disc 2, whenever you go to the northern cave, whenever you start kind of seeing like the weapons have any sort of life in them, because you just see the eye open up in one of the cutscenes whenever Cloud gives the black materia to Sephiroth for like the second time. So if that's the case right here, I'm using this as just a story beat. This is way down the line, and theoretically this could be the end of Rebirth, because this takes place way later in the game. Final Fantasy 7 has 3 discs and has 2 big stopping points. One is the death of Aerith, which will happen way before this. 2 is the attack on Midgar, making the final ascent into the northern cave. And if they follow anything like that, let's say they make let's say all this is Final Fantasy Midgar to end of disc 2, that's a lot of game that I don't think they'll be able to fit. We'll see, unless they make it a 200 or 300 hour game, which I'll be down for. I'll be streaming through every minute of it. I ain't recording 300 episodes. Or hell, 150 episodes if I do them in 2-hour increments. But I don't think they will. I'm betting whenever we get to like the middle of disc 2, because when the weapons awaken. Because when the weapons awaken, basically everything starts going down. You got to go fight Alpha. Sapphire gets shot by the Junon cannon. You go fight Ultima Weapon. He kind of starts wreaking havoc on the world. Also, Cloud is missing at this point. That'd be a great end point for Rebirth. Have Cloud just kind of fall into the live stream, because when he falls into the live stream and kind of goes a bit psychotic. No, they lose him. I can't remember how. I cannot remember specifically how. But Cloud gets separated from the main party. Then they find him in Midil. And then you have stuff like this. This will be probably right before all that. Yeah, you give him the black materia, and then Cloud disappears. He falls into the live stream. You never find him again until way later, like an hour later, or hour and a half later in Midil. So I'm hoping. You also see the materia there. I like that small little touch. But I'm hoping they just kind of bring it to a point of right there. They stop it after the big bad enemy awakens, because Sephiroth's not awake. Sephiroth is an enigma. Unless they really change it, he's an enigma. He's an imaginary thing that everybody can see. Which I hope I don't know. Anyhow, that'll be my guess for Final Fantasy VII players out there. Is I'm betting this game is probably going to stop right after Cloud awakens Sephiroth and the Black Materia with all the weapons, just because of the tutelary thing here. And then the whole thing that I'm excited for.
Dares disturb my slumber.
Vincent. Look at this. Oh, look at that, actually. Prime point right here. Look, there's a chest right there. They didn't open the chest. How dare they? But prime point right here, we are missing a party member. We do not have Sid Highwind. So unless they're making him a later end thing, or if he's scrapped from the game entirely, I hope not, but I can understand why. Sid's a very vulgar, just very, 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 I don't have enough varies in the world, hateful man for him. I hope they don't cut him out. And maybe they just haven't shown him yet, but we've got to see gameplay of her, him, her, him, and her. We haven't seen Vincent yet, so maybe that's they're saving it, because Vincent's absolutely the coolest character in Final Fantasy VII. But it's also seeming like they're going to make him more of a story beat, because he was a skippable character in the original Final Fantasy VII. You could literally go the whole game and never know he was in the game. Same for her. 2 of these characters you never run into if you don't know what you're doing. So I'm hoping they bring in the original story beats that they had for her, because she had a whole side quest, main quest of Wutai, and him with all of his Turk backstory. Because spoilers, he's a Turk. You know what I'll do? Before Rebirth comes out, I got my PS2 up there. I'll get Final Fantasy VII done, and I'll play Dirge or Cerberus, and I'll have both of those up. So if anybody wants to, prior to the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you can go watch all of it on my channel. You should.
It's upon us.
And then all this here, and this here is just more or less basic boringness of everything that happened to the end of the first game. Because we saw the characters, we see, there's Aerith. Yeah, this is literally just, it's Dragon Ball Z last time, because all the characters, yeah, there's the Whispers. Yeah, this is literally just rehashing probably what happened at the end of the first one. So I'm not going to worry too much about going in depth on this.
Cloud.
And that's kind of it. I'm excited for all this. February 29th. I'm definitely going to pre-order it. And also, after we were done, I saw something I missed. This is fucking sick. It's going to be like 250 reversible cover. Oh, I'm going to get it. Metal thing. I'm going to get it. Look at that. You got the Lucky Pot. You got the Moogle triplets. I don't know what they are. Probably mages. Green mage, black mage, white mage. And that statue. Good God, that statue. It's so cool. Wonder how much this is. It's going to be freaking expensive. So I am overall excited for this. There's a lot of things that were shown in this. I'm probably sure there's things that I missed too. But I'm genuinely excited for this game. Because right now, Final Fantasies are like my big go-tos on what news coming. You know, Final Fantasy 16, my game of the year. You have Final Fantasy Rebirth. I love 7. All the past Final Fantasies have been good. I'm excited for it. I want that Steelbook. I'll get it, but it's always going to say that because it looks infinitely better than that, in my opinion. Just because I don't like that. Me personally, I don't like it. Somebody out there will be like, absolutely, this is great. They like the idea. And whenever the game's done, whenever we know more, then I'll say my true judgment on it. Whenever we get it done, I'm going to do a Games of Gamers with Danger. Danger, you better watch this. You probably won't because I just spoiled like a ton of the game. But I don't like, I'm going to say this right, I just do not like the direction it seems like they're going. Of they may merge timelines or that timelines can be altered to mess it all up. Because yes, I want to remake it. It's Final Fantasy VII Remake, not Final Fantasy VII. Well, it's Final Fantasy VII Reimagined, pretty much. Not a remake, because remake will just, remake it. Crisis Core, that's a remake. Crisis Core Reunion, that's a remake. I don't know. I'm going to withhold any judgment. And that right there, Zach's on the case. That right there, I do not like. It just takes away so much of the latter half of awe factor of this game. But I digress. Thank you all for watching. I'm a K Chowser. This has been my Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I guess, analysis? In-depth analysis? Maybe. I don't know. Stay tuned for whatever's next. Probably Subnautica. Stay cool, and peace out, everybody.